I think I got past that probably in my teenage years.
What?
Which you probably know if you research my background, but I was raised Mormon. My
Yes.
family's still very Mormon. And so when I was a teenager and I started thinking for myself around 14, 15, I really did not relate to it. I didn't want to be a member of it. And by the time I was 17, I was fully out. And it created this big rift in my family. Like my mom wanted me out of the house at one point. I remember I came home with my ears pierced in high school. My mom wanted to kick me out. And
I
my
was
dad,
kicked out when I was 16.
I actually, knowing you now, I don't blame your mother for doing that. I would have kicked you out at 14. But my mom wanted to kick me out. My dad was the one who said, "No, this is my son." And so
my dad took me in. My dad took me in.
And so my dad was the one who's like, "No, it's my son. He's staying here." And I think that was kind of the point where I felt just defended by my dad. And I was like, wow, like my dad still loves me and supports me no matter what I do. And it just gave me the courage to kind of just be myself more and more. And my mom eventually kind of came around once she realized that I wasn't going to have that Mormon lifestyle that she had thought I was going to have. And we actually just had a really good relationship because she respected me for who I was and what I was able to do in my career. And to answer your question, there was a time where she stopped editing my work. So she was my original editor in my early 20s. And then she actually stopped editing my work and told me she couldn't edit it anymore because it was too vulgar and too crass and some of it was too hard to read. So it was her choice to step out of it. So like fucking history and stuff, she didn't edit those books. But with this new book,
were you glad or were you sad when she said that?
It didn't bother me either way because I totally understood it, and I knew like the direction I was taking jokes was probably hard for a mother to read, and so I actually it didn't bother me at all. But then when she actually offered to edit my new book, I told her I was writing this new book. I told her the premise of it, and she said, "Kyle, I'd love to edit that book." And she said, "I know some of it's going to be hard to read, but I still want to edit it." And once she already kind of acknowledged it was going to be hard to read, I was like, "Okay, cool. I'm going to make sure some of it's hard to read." So it kind of like motivated me. It kind of like,
it's you're like, a bad son too. You should have been kicked out.
She's already set herself up for it though. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to make sure that like, it's completely, the way I want to say it. When I talk about like jokes about, being caught masturbating and stuff like that in my book, like that's not a conversation you want to have with your mom. But my mom read it. My mom edited it. She made notes on it. And I respected the hell out of her for it. And I think it was fantastic. My mom's been like my biggest champion of this new book. And she'll admit that like chapters of it, she didn't want to read and she didn't like reading them.